say it again, I whispered, not because I didn't hear him, but because the room needed to hear who he had become. My back slid against the sofa as my son's hands left me, the impact blooming white behind my eyes. The coffee table rattled. Somewhere a clock kept ticking, too loud for a house that had already chosen sides. His wife didn't move. She folded her arms like this was a meeting she'd already won. My name is Eleanor Brooks, I'm 57. When did love turn into something that could watch you fall and feel relief? The ceiling fan spun slowly, stirring cold air that smelled like lemon polish and something final. I tasted metal. My son stood there breathing hard, not looking at me like I was furniture he'd finally pushed into place. Now she'll be happy, he said, as if happiness were a switch he'd just flipped. She smiled. Not wide. Precise. Yes. Let her die here. On the wall, the hallway mirror caught a sliver of my face. Crooked, unfamiliar. I wondered when I stopped recognizing myself in this house. My phone vibrated once in my palm, warm and stubborn, like it was waiting for me to remember who I used to be. As the edges of the room softened, one thought settled, clear and calm. This wasn't the end of my story. It was the moment it finally chose a direction. The phone felt heavier than it should have, slick with sweat as I pressed it to my ear. My son turned away, already bored, already done with me. His wife walked to the window and opened the curtains. Light poured in like an audience. I didn't look at them. I stared at the mirror instead. It was hanging crooked, the same way it had been since the day my husband died. I'd never fixed it. Some part of me liked how it refused to sit straight, like it remembered things the rest of the house pretended not to. My reflection blinked slowly, one eye swelling shut, mouth trembling, but still there. Eleanor, a voice said. Come. Familiar. Too steady for the chaos around me. It's me, I breathed. Each word scraped. If I stop talking, come. There was a pause. Not confusion. Recognition. Where are you? Home, I said, and almost laughed at the lie. My son's home. Not mine. Not anymore. Behind me a chair scraped. My daughter-in-law sighed, irritated. You didn't have to make it dramatic, she said to him. She always does this. The clock kept ticking. My hand went numb. The mirror caught her reflection now. Perfect hair, perfect posture, standing over someone who had given her everything and was now being erased. The call didn't disconnect. It stayed open. Listening. And for the first time since I hit the floor, I let myself go quiet. Not because I was weak, but because silence can be a kind of signal. The room tilted, then settled, like it had made a decision without me. I could hear them more than see them now. Sound sharpened when sight failed. My son's uneven breathing, the soft tap of his wife's nails against her arm, the hum of the refrigerator down the hall, still doing its job. Life elsewhere continuing. Should we call someone? My son muttered. She laughed. A short sound. Dismissive. For what? He's always pretending to faint. Give it a minute. The mirror blurred, then steadied. In it I saw my hand twitch. I focused on that. Fingers. Still mine. Still responding. The phone was still connected. A low, controlled voice spoke again, closer now, like it had leaned in. Stay with me, Eleanor. I wanted to say I was trying. Instead, I pressed my thumb harder into the screen, grounding myself in the warmth. The coffee table edge dug into my shoulder. Pain became texture. Proof. A memory drifted in, uninvited. My son at 7, asleep on this same floor, cradling a toy truck, refusing to be carried to bed because he wanted to feel grown. I had let him. I always let him. Look, he said now, kneeling halfway, not touching me. Just get up. Please. She clicked her tongue. Don't. If she wakes up, she'll make this a whole thing. The mirror caught his hesitation, her certainty. And in that contrast, something in me cooled. Not anger. Clarity. The kind that arrives when the story finally reveals who everyone really is. Footsteps sounded outside the front door. And for the first time they both turned toward the sound. The knock wasn't loud. Didn't need to be. It landed with intention, like someone who knew they'd be answered. My daughter-in-law stiffened first. I saw it in the mirror, the way her shoulders lifted just slightly. My son stood, wiping his hands on his jeans, a nervous habit from childhood that used to mean he'd broken something valuable. Who is that? She asked. He didn't answer. He moved toward the door, then stopped as if remembering I was still on the floor. I'll handle it, he said to no one in particular. The door opened. Cold air rolled in. Along with voices. Measured, professional, unhurried. The kind that don't ask, only note. "Ma'am," a man said. "We received a welfare concern." My son laughed too fast. There must be a mistake. The mirror caught the moment his wife stepped back, heels clicking once, sharp. "You called someone?" she hissed, finally looking at me. I didn't move. I let the silence answer for me. Hands appeared in my vision, gloved, careful, blocking the mirror as they knelt beside me. "Eleanor, can you hear me?" the man asked, softer now. I breathed. Once. Twice. "She fell," my son said quickly. "She's clumsy. Always has been." The mirror slipped sideways as they lifted me slightly. For a second I saw her face again, not smirking now but calculating. Already rehearsing a version of the truth. The man's voice tightened. "Ma'am, did someone push you?" The house held its breath. And in that suspended moment I realized something quietly devastating. They still thought this was about tonight. The question hung there, heavier than my body in their hands. I didn't answer right away. Not because I couldn't, but because I could feel my son watching my mouth, willing it to save him. I knew that look. I'd spent years responding to it. Fixing things. Softening edges. Carrying consequences that weren't mine. The mirror was gone now, replaced by the blur of uniforms and the sharp smell of antiseptic wipes. One of the responders brushed my hair back. Her touch was gentle, practiced. Made something in my chest ache. "She's confused," my daughter-in-law said smoothly. "She's been unstable since her husband died." I turned my head just enough to see her. She was smiling at the responders the way you smile at waiters. Pleasant, dismissive. Like authority naturally belonged to her. "Ma'am," the woman responder said, quieter, "you don't have to protect anyone." Protect. The word landed differently now. My fingers found the edge of the stretcher. Final. Pulled. Somewhere deep inside, the old instinct rose. Keep the peace, keep the family together, keep quiet. Then I heard my son whisper, barely audible, "Please, Mom." The house creaked as if settling around us, walls listening. I looked up at the responder and finally spoke. "He didn't mean to," I said softly. Relief flooded their faces. Too soon. "And neither did she," I added, my voice steadier than I felt. But they both did it anyway. The room shifted the moment the words left me. My son's face drained of color, relief curdling into something sharp and afraid. His wife let out a small, incredulous laugh. Too loud, too late. "That's ridiculous," she said. "She's emotional." You heard her. The responders didn't argue. They didn't need to. They exchanged a look instead, the kind that carries weight without sound. One of them stepped back and glanced around the room. The overturned chair. The scuffed rug. The coffee table, its edge smeared with something dark. Evidence doesn't rush. It waits. As they wheeled me toward the door, the mirror came back into view, leaning crooked in the hallway. For a second I saw all of us in it. My son shrinking, his wife straightening, me horizontal but finally centered. The surreal thought crossed my mind that the mirror looked relieved. Outside, the night air wrapped around me, cool and grounding. Neighbors' porch lights flicked on one by one, curious, quiet. Community has a way of showing up when you stop protecting the lie. "Ma'am," the responder said low, "there will be questions." I nodded. My phone buzzed in my hand again. A message unseen but felt. Inside the house I heard my daughter-in-law say, "We should call a lawyer." And for the first time I understood exactly where this was going. The ambulance doors closed with a soft, final thud, sealing the house behind me like a chapter that had run out of excuses. Inside everything was white and humming. The rhythm of the road became a low percussion beneath the beeping monitor. I focused on that sound, steady, impartial. It didn't care who anyone was to me. It only cared that I was still here. A paramedic asked gentle questions. I answered them the same way, gently, precisely. Names. Address. What happened? Each word felt like setting something down where it belonged. My phone vibrated again. This time I looked. A text. Just 4 words. "We're with the officer." I closed my eyes. Not in relief. In acceptance. At the hospital they lifted me under harsh lights that made honesty unavoidable. A nurse touched my arm and said almost casually, "You're safe now." The word now echoed. Safety, I was learning, could arrive late and still matter. Somewhere down the hall voices rose, My son's strained, his wife's clipped and controlled. Paperwork rustled. A pen scratched. The legal kind of sound. Permanent. They weren't shouting my name anymore. They weren't even looking for me. And lying there, staring at the ceiling tiles, I understood the quiet truth of revenge. It doesn't announce itself. It simply stops covering for you. Morning came without ceremony. Light slipped through the hospital blinds and landed on my hands, still bruised, still mine. A doctor spoke in careful sentences. Concussion. Observation. Time. I listened, nodded, let the words pass through me like weather. Later, an officer sat beside the bed with a notepad resting on his knee. He didn't rush me. He didn't fill the silence. He waited, and I realized how rare that was. Someone willing to let the truth arrive at its own pace. I told him everything. Not with drama. Not with tears. Just facts placed gently in order, like objects returned to their rightful shelf. The mirror. The push. The words they thought wouldn't survive me. He wrote it all down. Ink doesn't forget. I never went back to that house. My son tried to call once. Then twice. I let the phone ring until it stopped, until the sound lost its power. His wife sent a message meant to look kind. It didn't. Nothing does once you've seen the shape of a person clearly. Weeks later, I stood in my new apartment, unpacking slowly. The hallway mirror hung straight. I hadn't planned that, it just felt right. I looked at my reflection. Older. Bruised. Unbowed. They wanted me silent. Gone. Convenient. Instead, I chose something quieter. I chose to live where the truth could see itself.